Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
I'm with Sajad Lone, the chairperson of the Jammu and Kashmir People's Conference and the spokesperson for the People's Alliance of Gupkar Declaration, or the Gupkar Alliance, a conglomeration of opposition parties, opposition to the BJP, of course, in Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. Lone, welcome to The Print.
Hi, good to be here.
So you're in Srinagar, Mr. Lone, I'm in Delhi, and we're connected on the Zoom call. My first question to you is that the Gupkar Alliance is fighting the district polls, the first phase of these 8-phase long polls, which begins in a few days. Why are you fighting the polls when you clearly don't recognize the revocation of Article 370?
No, we've always fought polls in the past. Polls is a part of democracy. I don't see any harm in fighting polls. At the end of the day, we are all, sum of many parts. And while there might be some ideological issues which are on hold, but there are other pressing issues, administrative issues. You can't just allow and have the space vacant. It has to be filled up. And then in the context of a very violent J&K in the last 3 decades, you just can't even risk leaving any space open for anybody.
No, but the fact is that both Farooq Abdullah, the senior National Conference leader, former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, as well as Mehbooba Mufti have made very strong statements. Mehbooba Mufti has said that she will not hoist the tricolour until her parties, that she's allowed to fly her party's flag.
Look, I'll tell you something. We are a part of an alliance, and I will speak on behalf of the alliance.
Yes.
Whether there is alliance or there is not alliance, it is highly inappropriate for me to comment on the statements of my colleagues, right? And in what context they made a statement. They would be best that it would be best if you point these questions to them.
So let's start with the basic question. Why are you fighting the polls?
Why shouldn't we?
Because you don't recognize the revocation of Article 370.
And if we don't fight, you think all the problems will be resolved. You're adding some more problems.
So are you...
Administration, no, they're totally delinked. Not fighting polls is just not a solution. I would say it's a part of the problem, making it even more intense.
In what way?
Well, you have to understand that we are a democracy. We used to democracy, the entire country. And there is, we believe, a very serious dealing between the people who administer and the people who inhabit this place, the people who live here. So if there is a chance of some level of grassroots democracy, I don't think there is any problem, any reason we should not fight.
So
I don't know why this question is, and it's not only you. A lot of people are asking these questions, but it comes strange.
No, but why is it strange? The fact is that in today's India, where Jammu and Kashmir no longer has special status, you are part of the Indian Union. Is that okay with you?
No, what I am saying, no, it's not okay. But not fighting elections will not resolve that problem in any sense.
Okay.
It's not going to. Boycotting democracy is not a solution under any circumstances. This is what I believe.
And is this what the alliance believes?
Well, the alliance has come up, and I think they've made their intentions very clear. Very unambiguous, unconditional statement. Yes, we are going to participate together collectively.
So this contradiction that the revocation of Article 370 is not acceptable to you, but you continue to fight the polls, you will stay with this contradiction at least for the time.
I don't see this as a contradiction at all. No, I don't. They totally delinked. This is about grassroots. This is about panchayat. This is about panchayats.
And districts.
And districts. It doesn't go beyond a district level. So it doesn't have anything to do with that. So if, for example, we are wrong that the special status has been taken away, we will further be inflicting a wrong on ourselves by now boycotting and not taking part into something which after the election, after the results day, is going to be very rare. People who will be working at the grassroots level, all these people, our people, the people of J&K, they will have to go and meet these people, get their work done through them. So why are we going to boycott democracy and put strangers there? whom they don't know or they don't know them. Once you have, see, then apart from the fact that there is a political problem in Kashmir, Kashmiris are human beings. They feel hungry also. They have day-to-day problems also, like in the rest of the country. So we should not expect a Kashmiri to be a robot who does not feel hungry, who does not have a day-to-day problem, who does not need a hospital, who does not need to go to the ration card. They have all these problems. And for that, grassroots level mechanism, if it is going to emerge, I think it's the new mechanism as an alternative mechanism at the grassroots level democracy, I don't think it would be bad to boycott it. Why boycott it?
So you are fighting all the 280 seats in this election and this
I don't have the full data because, but yeah, I think almost all. Yeah, I think almost all. But we'll get the data once the process of filing the nominations ends. It's still on because there are 8 phases.
8 phases. And the BJP, which is in power in Delhi, of course, is fighting all 280 seats. So you are the chief opposition alliance to the BJP.
Yeah. Yeah, there are other parties also. Yes.
Yeah. But much smaller parties, and most of you have come together. The Congress is no longer a part of you.
No, Congress is there. That's a big party. Yeah, Congress is there. We are there. There are many other parties. But yes, in terms of a very unambiguous stand and distinct stand than everybody else, yeah, we do stand up.
So what is the message that the BJP has become such a powerful force in the Kashmir Valley? It has always been very influential in Jammu, but now even in Kashmir it has become so influential. What is the message, do you think, that's going to the people?
I don't think I agree with you. Politically powerful in Kashmir, I wouldn't agree. This is sort of too much.
Why do you say that?
Comprehend. Well, they might have a person everywhere, but because they haven't got a lot of votes whenever they fought here. And I would be surprised if they get a lot of votes this time.
But in a sense, the BJP has allied with various Kashmiri parties, with the National Conference, with the PDP, both of whom are now in opposition to the BJP. Do you think that it was a mistake for those parties to ally with the BJP?
I have also been in alliance with the BJP. BJP is a national party, and states can't, close when they are in power. Can't close that. They have to have a relationship with the party in power at the center, irrespective of their ideologies. So this is a call that all of us will take in the future and decide, whether retrospectively it was right or it was wrong. But whatever has happened in the past has happened. And I do not see there is any correlation between them being in alliance with BJP and what happened in the last 1.5 years, because none of the state leaders, none of the state institutions were a party to what happened. It was done rather independently by virtue of them being in power at the center, not by virtue of having an alliance with somebody in the state. It was done at a very administrative level. The governor took on the role of signing on behalf of the people of J&K. So
you're talking about the abrogation of, or the revocation.
Yeah. So you can't link the two and say that, it was because of an alliance. It wasn't. It was independent of that. It would have happened had there been an alliance or had there not been an alliance. See, I'm not justifying that alliances did not hurt. All I'm saying is that what happened is independent or is not. There is no correlation between this and any alliance.
So when August 5, 2019, Article 370 was very suddenly revoked or abrogated, you were picked up, several other leaders were picked up, Omar Abdullah, Mehbooba Mufti, Farooq Abdullah, so many of you were picked up and sent first to jail, then you were detained in your own houses. What was that? I mean, were you surprised that this happened in the first place? Were you absolutely shocked and stunned?
Yeah, shocked, yes, I was. But, personally for me, well, I have seen jail before also, and a much worse jail, much rougher and violent jail. That was 30 years back. I have seen. But arrests are very normal in Kashmir. But arresting at this level ex-chief ministers is a first. Well, is a second, in fact, not a first. It has been done before also in 1953. When Sheikh Saab was arrested. So it is in today's world, in 21st century, I think a first in the last 50 years, a first, a new law in Kashmir. But what can you do? That's how, they operate. There's precious little that you can do.
But did you feel betrayed by this?
No, I don't feel, well, I personally did not feel betrayed. Why should I feel betrayed if the government wants to intern you but I found it very odd. And somehow I thought that this is not good for the long term. It's not about me. It's not about the jail. These things happen. I honestly don't make a lot of, it doesn't mean a lot putting you in internment, because in J&K, if you look, there has been a lot of violence. So many people have died, and this looks rather small compared to the scale of destruction that has taken place in the last 3 decades. But
Jad, I'm talking to you. The reason I'm asking you this is because in 2014, after the BJP and Prime Minister Modi came to power, you met him. You called him your bada bhai. तो बड़ा भाई ने अब आपको जेल में डाल दिया, तो फिर इसका क्या मतलब हुआ?
You see, I'll tell you, there is no doubt when I came out, I said he was very humble, didn't act like a prime minister, but acted like somebody would have acted like an elder brother. And that is true. He was very humble. This was the second time I had met a prime minister in my life. The first time I had met was Mr. Manmohan Singh. So he was equally kind. But what I'm saying is that no, it does not matter. I don't feel. Why should I feel betrayed? There was we were working together. So this was not some sort of a relationship which was sort of until death does us apart. No, it was a simple political relationship. And once we felt that this party is going beyond development and sort of crawling into the domain of ideological changes, I felt that no, I should not be staying there. If I have to be in politics, if I have to be true to my people, I should side with my people. So that meant going to jail. I was aware that there would be a punitive action if we are going to take a course opposite to their thinking. And I took that decision. And
why did you call him your bada bhai? That's my question to you. After all, you felt that there was some solidarity with the Prime Minister.
Yeah, I felt that there was solidarity. He was very passionate about Kashmir when he talked.
In what way was he passionate?
That he wanted change, that he wanted development, he wanted good for the people of Jain. That was the first time. And I was also very surprised that he knew so much about Kashmir. Normally, a new Prime Minister wouldn't know a lot about Kashmir, but I found him quite knowledgeable. But that passion might be there, but the compassion is not there anymore. That is the problem. So it's not a very compassionate, compassionate way that they're dealing with Kashmir. I have no hard feelings about going to jail, about being interned. No, I have absolutely no hard feelings. It's just that neither is it good for our democracy, and neither is it good for the future. Nobody knows what the ramifications will be 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line.
Let me just come back to you. It's interesting that you said that the Prime Minister had a lot of knowledge about Jammu and Kashmir. After all, the RSS has always been very keen on the revocation of Article 370 right from the start, right from the time that the Jansangh was formed. So in a sense, the Prime Minister, who has been an RSS pracharak, knew what has been happening in Jammu and Kashmir. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, one of the biggest ideologues of the Jansangh, died in a Srinagar jail. So were you surprised that he knew so much?
It was a 40-45 minutes meeting, and it was more about development. It was about the rail link. I think they just inaugurated a rail link to Udhampur. It was about violence there. It was about children from Kashmir who had gone to Gujarat. So it was not in a political mode. But yes, there was some indication that perhaps the pain here is known to the gentleman at the top.
You felt that?
Well, by the way, he talked about everything, about the number of people who have died and Yeah, he knew very well, a lot. I personally, as I said, that a new prime minister, knowing a fair bit amount of Kashmir, because prime ministers at the they are very busy people across the world, not only here.
Did you two talk about the role of Pakistan in the insurgency?
It was purely developed. I told you 40, 45 minutes, and so it was in that context. And now when we look at here, I'm repeating, no, I have absolutely no hard feelings, but just worried that how it might pan out in the long run. You see, you might start writing a book, a novel, whether it's a fiction or a non-fiction. Irrespective of the end that you might have chosen, it is not necessarily that the novel ends there. It takes its own course. So similarly, even in the world of non-fiction, the desired ends may change. And that's what one is scared about, very scared, how it will
What are you
pan out.
scared about?
Sorry?
What are you scared? What are you afraid about?
About the future, about hoping that let's hope that we may not have seen a painless Kashmir, that our future generations see a painless Kashmir, see a Kashmir where they're not, where there is not a threat of violence, where there is not a lot of scare around. There is a scare, it's in abundance. So, political events, like economic events, once you have an event in economy, in terms of fiscal policy, in terms of monetary policy, or in other terms, in terms of a discovery of a COVID drug, apart from medical, it's an economic event also. When there's a big political event, it is not standalone. Neither does it give results on the next day.
Okay.
It is linked, there is a time lag when you implement or create a political event and its ramifications or consequences. My thing is that I just hope that it does not drag on and on and on and on. And we see the results when probably maybe 10 years down the line, 30 years down the line, when the script writers or the actors are not even there.
So tell me, Sajad, that there has been an attack in Nagrota just a few days ago, and we have seen that Pakistani terrorists, they were trying to, in fact, they made a tunnel, and through the tunnel that they had tried to come inside, they were killed, of course, after, in Nagrota. So what do you think is going on? Are the Pakistanis still trying to create disturbances inside the valley, stoke the insurgency? What's happening?
Look, we have all been victims of violence, and as you know, we all can only have nothing but condemnation for such acts of violence. And yeah, these are the challenges that we faced when we were in government for a brief, well, even I was a part of that cabinet. And I think since 1990s, these are challenges that we face. And I don't see the challenges having been changed anywhere. They are what they were in 90s and they are what they are today. And it doesn't seem the end there is no end in sight. Unfortunately, there is no end in sight, and there seems to be a resolve on that side also that this place has to be drowned in violence for all times to come. Unfortunately.
What is that side? Are you talking about Pakistan?
Yeah.
So, what do you think Pakistan is trying to do?
As I told you, is that this violence has never ended. Facilitating militancy has never ended. And as I told you that, it seems that, there is this motive of keeping this place in a perpetual state of violence, and which is very unfortunate for non-military actors, civilians like us. At the end of the day, it is the Kashmiri who's getting killed.
So Pakistan is determined to keep this place in some sort of chaos.
So last 30 years, there has been absolutely no respite, absolutely no respite. So yes, I will not mince words. Yes, they have, and all I'm saying is that we out here, there are two ways to counter what is being done from there. A is the military thing. You counter it militarily like you did it in Malhotra. The other thing is that the people out here, in their own non-military means, ensure that such activities are looked down upon by the society. So militarily you might be fighting. In the non-military means, the way you have to take the people along, I don't think we are being able to do that, you know.
But do you think that fighting in these district polls is one way of doing that?
It always has been. It's just that it's always been, elections has been a non-military tool, a very potent non-military tool. Democracy has been a very, very potent non-military tool to fight all our wars, you know, whether it's the war of violence, whether it's the war of administration, war of economic prosperity. It's been used through democracy, through elections. And that's why I said is that in a place like J&K, it's inconceivable in the context of what has happened, in the last 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
It is inconceivable to even think that you can afford to have any political space vacant.
So tell me, why did Home Minister Amit Shah call your alliance the Gupkar Gang?
Well, this is the new, this is a new polemical landscape that the entire country is. So I'm not surprised. So typically, I would have thought he shouldn't. But then,
what did you think he should have done? I mean, what do you think he should have said? After all, he's a very, very influential political player.
It doesn't matter that there was the Khan Market gang. Probably you also go to Khan Market. There is this gang, so it doesn't. We have to take it with.
So you and your alliance, you were not upset by it.
No. Why wouldn't we be upset? But I think it's okay. Fine. He made a statement. There is no. It doesn't serve any purpose to stretch it beyond a certain level. Kampuji gang bol diya. So it is no. We all make severe accusations, but yes, the terminology, in terms of terminology, the Indian polity all across the country in the last, I think, should I say, 7-8 years, the standards haven't gone up.
Mm-hmm. So the fact that the BJP was using these words, what kind of a message do you think that it sent to the people?
In Kashmir?
Yes.
Well, look, I'll tell you, I don't think, BJP might be in a position to send any message to the Kashmiri people. I don't think they're recipient. When it comes to them, I think they have switched off their receive. There's a send mode and a receive mode. So the receive mode has been switched off by Kashmiri people. So there is very little communication I think they can aspire to have with them. Because they have pushed them, I think. They feel that they've been pushed off or pushed away.
So tell me, in these polls, out of 280 seats, there has also been a lot of infighting within the alliance. Congress is fighting some against you. So do you think that the vote might be divided?
I don't think vote will be. Actually, there's so many people who are contesting, for a seat, I don't know, in my area, there are 32 contestants, and there are 32 panchayati halkas there. So which means for every one halka, one person is fighting. So we really don't know. There is a very perceptibly very, very strong sentiment in favor of the PAGD. That's what we firmly believe and sincerely believe after looking at the grounds. And then apart from that, if you physically count the number of votes that the Gupkar Alliance together has polled, it's in at least in Kashmir Valley, it will be close to 85 to 90%. So, but then I don't know how come so many people are contesting. It's a very, and then these are paper votes. And
what does that mean?
They're paper ballots.
Mm-hmm.
So in this constituency where there are 32 candidates.
In Handwara?
No, not in Handwara, in Lola, in a place called Haihama.
Okay.
That is not in our quota, but it's in the area. So if somebody has to go and select his or her candidate, she has to go and scroll down 2 or 3 pages and then find out. What I mean to say is that a lot of people are contesting. More than the vote share that you lose in one party fielding a candidate, other party fielding a candidate. You would be surprised that with these huge list of number of candidates, a good 5-6% of the vote is lost in searching and putting on the.
That is a prerogative of people who want to contest. Are you saying that there is something else happening here?
No, I can't make accusations, but it seems to be beyond prerogative.
Yeah. So there has been a lot of talk also that candidates are not being allowed to campaign. Is that correct? Give us some sense of what's happening in the campaign.
It is true. They are not interned, but they're confined for security reasons in a place, especially in South Kashmir, called EDI, Entrepreneurial Development Institute. Incidentally, ironically, that is the institute with a very enterprising way to provide security, is that they're interned there. And yes, there have been a lot of complaints, yeah. But, in north of Kashmir, there were complaints earlier on, but now they have started. But yes, security was a challenge, has always been a challenge. And I would have thought that the government of the day should have done its homework on security. There was a lot of space for improvement because it was always a challenge. It's not a challenge which is sudden or abrupt. It's been there since the 90s. And we too have held elections in the past when we were in government. And yes, there were complaints at that time also. But overall, there was a fairly institutionalized, transparent system of providing security to the
right.
Systems.
To the candidates. So last couple of questions, Sajad. There has been the last few days reports that leaders, including the names of former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Farooq Saab, who have allegedly encroached land, built their own private houses on it, including the party headquarters of the National Conference, not just under the Roshni Act, but even separately. What do you make of political leaders in Jammu and Kashmir encroaching land and building their own private housing?
I read an NC statement yesterday, and Roshni scheme and Dr. Saab, I think there's nothing. He's not a beneficiary in the.
No, he may not be a beneficiary of the Roshni scheme, but say former PDP leader Hasib Drabu, his name has come as a beneficiary of this Roshni scheme.
Well, I know Hasib Drabu, he's a dear friend, but you might be making a mistake between a freehold property and a leasehold property, which is normal across India and every part of the world. Why don't you people do your homework? His family, I think, has been living there for decades. In our South Asian society laws, they say even now I think he has proper papers, right? Proper papers, proper allotment. Even if you don't have an allotment in the entire South Asian region, 99% is possession and 1% is papers. But this man has a proper allotment. You cannot evict anybody anywhere in the world from a leasehold property after 40, 50 years. Please do your homework. I'm not batting for Roshni Act. There have been violations, gross violations, like in any other part of the country. But this one, I think you're making a mistake. It is a leasehold property. And a leasehold property owner was given an option by the government under a law passed by the State Assembly that you can convert it into freehold if you pay 25% of the existing market price.
Right.
Now, some people chose that and paid the existing market price of 25% of that and got it converted into freehold. Okay.
So, but even Farooq Saab's name has come out as an encroacher, not under Roshni, but otherwise. Why do you think this is happening?
Look, I think you have to give Dr. Saab the chance to defend himself. It is a mere statement. And every statement that the government has made in the last 70 years has not turned out to be the gospel truth.
But why is it happening on the eve of the district polls? Is there a message somewhere?
That you have to ask the government. that you have to ask the government, and I think you're wiser enough. It's not only here, but you have to, you can't just, while there cannot be a media trial, nobody has seen a shred of evidence, nobody has read the papers. This is a government point of view, and in a democracy, they have every right. They have the power to present their point of view, but you can't pronounce someone guilty without even hearing to him. There are courts, there are laws. They will take a final call on that. Government always makes out a case for or against in a particular, in any case.
Mhm.
But then that. In fact, as a rule, the courts throw it out. If you look at the litigation of the last 70 years,
Right.
so especially when there is someone who is a public person, giving it so much of hype, is not a good thing. He will, of course, present his case whenever he has to. So,
Okay. So last couple of questions, Sajad. The question is on habeas corpus petitions in the Supreme Court. Now, some of them have been resolved, but are there still people in jail who were arrested after the revocation of Article 370 last year and who have not got a chance to make their own petitions?
I will admit I don't have the exact data, but I would be very surprised if there are not. There must be, but I don't have the data. I wish you had, I would have found out, but I'm sure there must be still people. They've released a lot of people, but I think there are still some of them must be, whether on August 4 or August 5, I don't know. But there are. But habeas corpus is a cause of concern here because it is a bit it gets a bit delayed.
On this note, Sajad Lone, thank you so much for speaking to ThePrint. Thank you for your time and all the best for fighting the district courts. Thank you.
God bless.